Hello and welcome to the Farming Week, the podcast from Agriland that keeps you up to date with all the latest in Irish agriculture. I'm Charles O'Donnell and I'm joined by Louise, Hickey and Colm. Well, there's a good bit we want to get through today. It's that time of the month where dairy processors are announcing their milk prices for the previous month, and Lakeland Dairies has already revealed its price, opting for an increase, with more prices expected in the coming days. We've also seen details announced for in-person farmer training events under the Suckler Carbon Efficiency Programme, or SCEP, which has been organised following concerns that some farmers in the scheme may be disadvantaged by online training. A list of training events has been confirmed, and you can read more about that and indeed all of today's stories on Agriland.ie and the Agriland app. But we'll start today with news just reaching us concerning proposals for a new school of veterinary medicine. It appears that University of Limerick may be pulling its bid to host the new vet school. Louise, what do we know so far?
Yeah, Charles, so it has been confirmed that the University of Limerick, or UL, is set to pull out of its bid to host a new vet school. Sources have indicated to Agriland that the news comes as a shock for officials at UL after much advocating for the new veterinary programme. UL has confirmed that the issue is due to high costs. The university was being contested to host the new vet school by two other universities, Atlantic Technological University, or ATU, and South East Technological University, or SETU. The Higher Education Authority had assessed the capacities at all three destinations to be about 90 for UL and 40 each for ATU and SETU. The government is yet to announce which third-level institution or institutions will host a new vet school. UL had announced the signing of an agreement with Silesian Agricultural College in order to cooperate in the delivery of a new undergraduate course. It had also signed a memorandum of understanding with a network of independently owned veterinary practices, XL Vets. Under the agreements, it had proposed to deliver a hybrid distributed model of veterinary clinical education as well as regional placement hubs and the development of a contemporary veterinary teaching hospital on campus.
Thanks for that update, Louise. We'll definitely keep an eye on developments there. But we'll move on for now. And the Agri-Climate Rural Environment Scheme, or ACRES, continues to be a source of news, often for the wrong reasons. Louise, we've seen a number of updates this week on developments under the scheme, including on a timeline for non-productive investments and coming meetings between the cooperation project teams, or CP teams, and farmers, for those farmers in the CP aspect of the scheme. Can you bring us up to date on all this, Louise?
Yes, Charles. So it was confirmed that the payment system for non-productive investments, or NPIs, under ACRES will not be operational next year. The Department of Agriculture has said it regrets the delays in issuing approvals to the almost 4,300 ACRES participants who submitted NPI applications at the end of 2023. According to the department, NPIs and landscape actions provide ACRES cooperation participants with an opportunity to improve environmental outcomes on their farms, and the scores achieved under the results-based system and in turn increase their payments there. In addition to their maximum core annual payment of €7,000, cooperation participants have the opportunity to draw down additional payments of up to €17,500 through carrying out certain actions. Many farmers now feel frustrated by the delay in processing applications. The department has said it is intended that approvals in respect of applications received at the end of 2023 will be issued by the end of 2024. The department said that the system to support the submission of claims and the processing of the payments in respect of these approved investments will follow as early as possible in 2025. A second NPI application is due to open on September 17, 2024 and run until the end of October. Approvals will issue for this round and will issue next spring after the screening of applications has been completed by cooperation project teams and the department. DAFM said the preparatory work ahead of the introduction of the landscape actions is ongoing and will include specification and costing of actions, as well as the carrying out of an appropriate assessment as required under environmental legislation. The IFA has been provided with a commitment from the department that meetings will take place in the coming weeks between farmers and cooperation project teams that are tasked with delivering the acres in CP zones. IFA Deputy President Alice Doyle said that there needs to be better engagement and dialogue with farmers and that the department needs to be more solutions focused.
And Louise, we've also seen this week an extension announced to the deadline for one aspect of ACRES.
So yes, an extension has been granted to the establishment deadline for catch crops for participants in Tranche 1 and 2 of ACRES. In a letter written to ACRES advisors, the department informed them of extensions to establishment deadlines for specific arable-based actions in the scheme. The extension is due to the majority of spring cereal crops only approaching ripening now as a result of the delay in the spring sowing calendar earlier in the year. An extension has also been granted for the environmental management of arable fallow and for geese and swans, arable catch crop element only. The final date for establishing the catch crop in the above three actions has been extended to Monday, September 30th, 2024 for Acres Tranche 1 and Tranche 2 participants. Furthermore, there has been an extension to specific arable-based actions for Tranche 2 participants. An extension has been granted to the establishment deadline for grass margins, protection and maintenance of archaeological monuments, and riparian buffer strips or zones. The final date for establishing those three actions has been extended to September 30th, 2024 for Acres Tranche 2 participants.
Thanks, Louise. Now, moving on to an important issue that the Department of Agriculture, Food and the Marine flagged recently, which is an increasing prevalence of blackleg disease, which we've covered on the podcast previously. But more recently, the department has provided information on the number of cases that we're seeing in the country, Louise.
Yes, Charles. Unfortunately, the Department of Agriculture has warned that the RVLs have seen some quite large outbreaks in farms around the country with no prior history of the disease. DAFM confirmed to Agriland this week that 44 blackleg outbreaks have been confirmed so far this year with at least one death. During 2023, there were 62 outbreaks involving at least one death in a herd. 21 of the same outbreaks this year were confirmed during the month of August, which is up from 13 in the same month last year. However, the department noted that the figures for August 2024 may increase as confirmatory results are outstanding on additional suspect cases. 11 blackleg outbreaks were confirmed by regional veterinary laboratories in July, which is almost double that of the previous year. There were 5 outbreaks with 3 or more deaths recorded in August 2024 compared to 1 outbreak with 3 or more deaths recorded in August 2023. Now, just to note that the data from the department is based on voluntary submissions by farmers of animals to DAFM regional veterinary laboratories for post-mortem examination. DAFM said that it does not have any records of the numbers of animals that die from blackleg. It seems that outbreaks of blackleg have been reported after earthworks are carried out on farms, such as field drainage works, road construction, and exposure of earth floors during mucking out buildings. A spike in cases standing out from the rest of the year was recorded in August last year and August this year. This is caused by exposure to highly resistant Clostridial spores in the soil. The disease usually causes acute muscle damage. It results in sudden death or death after a short illness. Clostridial spores can enter the body of an animal by ingestion through skin wounds or via contamination needles or injection equipment. Muscle trauma from bulling events in heifers and injuries at congested feed barriers trigger spore activation and lead to the disease.
And Louise, just while we have the opportunity to do so, it might be worth reminding farmers of the precautions that they should be taking on this.
Yeah, Charles, well, according to DAFM, prevention is very straightforward. The department said that Clostridial vaccines are extremely effective when used properly, and there are several brands of suppliers there to choose from. The department advised farmers that vaccination really is the primary method in advance of exposure, particularly for young stock going out on grass for the first time. The department said it is important farmers follow manufacturers' instructions on the primary course and booster regime. The department said that while it can be simple to implement, it's crucial to ensure maximum effectiveness. Incomplete vaccination programs will not provide adequate immunity. In order to ensure that prevention methods are being followed correctly, farmers are advised to consult with their vets for specific advice on diagnosis and prevention of blackleg on their farms.
Yes, Louise, very important information there, and it's very important to bring it to farmers' attention. Now, the past week has seen a number of farm organisations meet with the Taoiseach on a wide array of issues, not least Budget 2025, with the Irish Farmers Association, the Irish Creamery Milk Suppliers Association, and the Irish Cattle and Sheep Farmers Association speaking to Simon Harris. Louise, do we know what the main talking points were in these meetings?
Well, one of the main discussion points from the ICMSA President Dennis Drennan with Taoiseach Simon Harris was indeed about the budget and what Drennan described as a collapse in farmers' incomes. Drennan called on the Taoiseach to deliver on a programme for government commitment to address income volatility for farmers by putting in place a measure for that purpose. The ICMSA President called for a measure of this type to be introduced in the upcoming budget, along with measures to support farm transfers and a scheme to develop dairy beef production in Ireland. He also called for all grant rates for slurry storage to be increased to 70% and for realistic construction costings. Outside of the immediately pressing matter of Budget 2025, Drennan also raised the nitrates derogation with the Taoiseach, saying that the derogation cannot be overstated in terms of its importance for all agriculture sectors. On the EU-Mercosur trade agreement, the FTMTA president asked the Taoiseach to reaffirm Ireland's opposition to any trade agreement premised on importation of food produced to lower standards. IFA President Francie Gorman also raised issues surrounding the budget. He said there was a need to get the €300 for the suckler cow, the €30 for the ewe, and the €100 per head calf rearing scheme, along with an increase in the areas of natural constraint payment. He said that without them being in place, succession is a large issue. On the Common Agricultural Policy, Gorman called for a viable CAP budget focused on food production, and he questioned the current CAP payment model of costs incurred or income forgone under Pillar 2 schemes, saying that this model is itself a cut of a different sort. Another issue raised by the IFA president, both the Taoiseach and Tánaiste, was about preventing blue tongue virus from entering the country. He said that to prevent it, the state must be on red alert at all times. The ICSA president, Sean McNamara, also echoed the calls of Gorman for the budget. He said that beef finishers, sheep and tillage farmers, who have all seen dramatic income declines, need urgent support. He said that in 2023, beef finishers endured a 19% drop in incomes, while sheep farmers saw a 22% drop and tillage farmers faced a staggering 71% reduction in income. The ICSA also said to the Taoiseach and Minister McConalogue that there was a need for an early intervention on winter feeds. They said that grass growth has been on the way down and it's already shaping up to be what they said was a disastrous winter for fodder and for food.
Yes, Louise, I'm sure all the farmer organisations, just like the rest of us, are eagerly awaiting to see what Budget 2025 will hold. We're going to move on to something unrelated now, though, and that's the new hen harrier threat response plan, which was launched this week and which includes actions across agriculture, forestry and other areas to protect the hen harrier. Colm, you're at the launch of this plan. What did you learn?
Yeah, so the plan was launched by the Minister of State, Malcolm Noonan, in the Slieve Bloom Mountains in County Laois earlier this week. The hen harrier threat response plan sets out a roadmap to reverse the decline of this rare bird of prey, and it will implement a series of coordinated actions across the agriculture, forestry and wind energy sectors to improve its long-term prospects. Heather, rush and scrub are among the most important habitats for the hen harrier, and while the species decline is due to a number of factors, it is primarily the loss of suitable habitat through afforestation and forest maturing, agricultural reclamation and intensification, and wind energy development. The plan acknowledged that landowners who depend on the land within hen harrier special protected areas, or SPAs, for their livelihood, and upon whom the hen harrier depends for its habitat, must be supported and incentivised to implement management measures relating to the hen harrier conservation, whether the land is farmed or afforested. The plan is seeking to continue to engage and communicate with farmers on the year-round ecological needs of a hen harrier for nesting, roosting and foraging. This collaboration is something that Minister Noonan referred to when he spoke to me at the launch this week, and here's what he had to say.
There's no doubt that if we can fix the landscape for the hen harrier, we can fix it for many other species and for nature generally. For me, this can't happen. We can't do it without farmers and farmer support. And I know the farmers I speak to, they love the bird as well, and they want to see it back and see it return. So launching this plan today is an important part of that, an important step after a lot of collaboration and a lot of conversations with multiple stakeholders. And we're delighted to be here. This is a very positive day for the hen harrier, and I'm looking forward to seeing the collaborative actions that are going to emerge from this, but in particular I think for farmers and landowners who have a huge role to play in this. Farmers are already playing an active role in nature restoration and in trying to save these important species, and they're doing it because they care. It's not just because there's an economic value to it, because they know themselves that if we have healthy habitats and healthy nature, that they're going to have better farming and productivity out of that too.
In the hen harrier threat response plan, the Department of Agriculture, Food and the Marine recognised that open moorland is prime hen harrier habitat and the department is committed for hen harrier conservation purposes to reducing forest cover and thereby increasing habitat area and creating linkages between open areas in the SPAs. So hen harrier find young forest plantations attractive to breed in, but breeding success is compromised by the loss of open space as forest canopies close. By 10 years or so after planting, a forest is of little habitat value for hen harrier until clear felling takes place.
And Colm, what's the reaction to this plan been like?
So there has been criticism of the plan to address the decline of the hen harrier. This is coming from Birdwatch Ireland, the environmental pillar, and on Tánaiste, who have said the plan is vague and lacking in detail and ambition. The loss of habitat for nesting and foraging and other pressures associated with the afforestation of Ireland's uplands is known to be one of the main threats to hen harriers. These organisations have stated that although the plan recognises this, it unfortunately fails to set out clear targets or a mechanism for the restoration of habitats needed for the recovery of the species. Without these, it is difficult to have faith that the plan will deliver any meaningful change for hen harriers and upland biodiversity, the organisations have said. They added that they will remain committed to ensuring that an effective threat response plan is delivered for the hen harrier.
Thanks for that, Colm. Well, this week, the Farm Tractor and Machinery Trade Association, or FTMTA, announced the latest tractor registration figures, highlighting a reduced level of activity in the farm machinery sector in Ireland. Louise, how did the number of registrations for tractors over the last 12 months compare to the previous year?
Well, Charles, as you said, a downward trend can be seen between the 2 years. The August 2024 new tractor market at 111 units was 21% lower compared with the same month in 2023. There were 1,638 new tractors registered in the year to date, a 12% decline compared to the first 8 months of 2023. The FTMTA receives all of the data from the Revenue Commissioners, which is responsible for all the first-time registrations of new and used vehicles in Ireland. The figures show that County Cork continues to deliver the highest number of new tractor registrations at 213 units for the year to date, while County Tipperary is ranked in second place with 144 units, followed by County Wexford in third place at 93 units. The most popular power band was the 160 to 200 horsepower category, which for August 2024 accounted for 23.02% of all new tractor registrations for the month. Tractors in the power band lower than 100 horsepower accounted for 8.9% of all new tractor registrations, slightly lower than the same month in 2023. The over 200 horsepower category now accounts for 12.69% of all new tractors. The monthly average tractor horsepower figure for August 2024 was higher at 148, and the largest tractor registered was rated at 411 horsepower. The FTMTA data shows that 203 imported used tractors were first-time registered in Ireland in August 2024, 1 unit more than in August 2023. And then for the year to date, 1,906 used tractors were imported and registered for the first time, which shows us a decline of 8.8%.
And then outside of tractors, Louise, did we get any figures for loaders as well?
We did, Charles. So the Irish market for new telescopic loaders reported a 49% decline in August 2024 at 27 units compared with August 2023 when 53 units were registered. According to the FTMTA, the year-to-date market shows a 2.14% decrease in registrations. The two leading brands, JCB and Manitou, account for 71% of the total new market. Then on to loaders. The Irish wheeled loader market recorded a lower number of new registrations in August 2024 at 6 units compared with August 2023, while the year-to-date market decreased by 166%. Meanwhile, there were 2 new backhoe loaders registered in August 2024 compared with August 2023, when 11 new machines were registered, which converted to an 81% year-to-date decrease. In terms of used backhoe loaders then, there were 5 registered in August 2024 in the country. There were 11 new UTVs registered in Ireland in August 2024, with just 2 imported UTVs registered for the first time. For the year to date, 241 new UTVs were registered.
Thanks for explaining all that, Louise. Finally this week, we'll bring you a story that's a little bit off the beaten track, and that's the lost art of water divining. Agriland recently caught up with water diviner Jerry Kremen to talk about this. Louise, what is water divining?
Divining, otherwise known as dowsing, is traditionally employed to locate groundwater and is entirely devoid of scientific apparatus. Instead, a diviner wields 2 metal rods, copper predominantly, or in some cases twigs, to guide them to the source of the substance sought. Its application has evolved over the years to extend to uncovering precious metals as well as other worldly spectres too. Once considered a form of witchcraft and punishable by burning at the stake, divining has preserved despite its questionable origins. To date, the practice has defied science, therefore inviting its fair share of scepticism from some who question the absence of a logical explanation. So yeah, Charles, it's all to do with energy really, but why or where the energy comes from is a complete mystery. The water diviner that Agriland spoke to believes that anyone can learn how to divine. He insists that the practice relies on skill and an open mindset rather than on innate talent or disposition. Despite the declining numbers, the diviner is steadfast in his belief that the ritual will prevail in spite of changing times and modern technological advances. More about that story can be seen on the Agriland website.
Thanks, Louise. That's a very interesting one. But that's just about all we have time for. Just before we go, and ahead of the National Ploughing Championships taking place next week, we just want to say congratulations to Liam O'Driscoll from County Cork and John Whelan from County Wexford, who finished in first place and second place respectively in the European Ploughing Championships last weekend. The 2 men beat stiff competition to land the top 2 places on the podium, so well done to both Liam and John. That brings us to the end of today's podcast. Please don't forget to rate, review and follow The Farming Week on Spotify, Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. We'd love if you could spare some time to give us 5 stars and share The Farming Week with anyone you think might be interested. From Louise, Colm and myself, all the best, and if you're travelling to Tánaiste for the National Ploughing Championships next week, safe travels and enjoy the few days.